Related to this week's parsha, Parshas Chayisoda, and Parshas V'zois Habrocha. And Avraham Avinu, when Sarah passes away, he very much desires to bury her in Hebron, in a specific plot of land, the Meoras Hamachpeila. How did Avraham become privy? Before we begin our journey, just to get a bit of background, how did Avraham know where Adam and Chava were buried? And did the Bnei Ches that Avraham was buying the land from, did they have any inkling? If they would have known, would they have sold it Bechlal? So the Pashtus says that no one in the world knew where Adam and Chava were. After they were buried, the cave was sealed. Now, why were Adam and Chava themselves buried there? When Chava passed away, Adam chose, very specifically, and particularly chose that piece of land because it's one of the portholes to Gan Eden. In Jewish tradition, it's one of the portholes from this world into Gan Eden. And we're going to see more about this. It's very peaceful and comfortable for the neshama to go straight from there into Gan Eden. There's no long journey. It's right there. And because it's right next to Gan Eden, you can already feel the holiness, the smell, if you can... can't smell anything. But apparently, if you have the sensitivity, like Adam Rishon had, he could tell that that was an entrance to Gan Eden, and he craftily chose that should be where Chava is buried. When it came Adam's turn to pass away, he was buried there too. Who buried him? There's a debate. If it was his son Shes, or it was his great-great-great-grandson Chanoich. Okay, two opinions. Who's the one that buried Adam? But either way, after Adam was buried there, this opening of the cave sealed. We have such an idea in Torah where Aaron was buried. The Medrash clearly describes that after Aaron was buried in Hor HaHor, that opening into the mountain was shut and sealed forever. So, we have this idea, and apparently it happened by the Meoras Hamachpeila as well, after Adam was buried. So it was just Chava and then Adam.
Only one gateway to Gan Eden?
No, there's a few, but that's one of the in Eretz Yisrael. There might be another one in Yerushalayim, much deeper. And time went on, and nobody knew where Adam and Chava were buried.
Are there cemeteries adjacent to the Machpelah?
Right next to it? No.
I'm saying that over history, no one...
There are Yidden buried in Hebron, but not right next to it. Right. So the Ramban, there is, if you walk into the Meoras Hamachpeila,
is up the road.
But it would be for the same reason, the portal situation, or the portal's dafka in that spot? Not Hebron, per se.
Right, it's not Chet specifically, but the closer you are, the closer you're there. The Ramban, if you walk into the Meoras Hamachpeila, and I was only there once, and I didn't notice it then, but apparently there is a matzeva for the Ramban. Now, there are four opinions where the Ramban is buried, but one of them is that he's buried in the Meoras, and they have a matzeva for him. And apparently the matzeva is actually in the structure today, when you walk in, there's a matzeva there. Okay, but it was made after the Ramban passed away. Could be it's meaningless, could be it's not. It remains a big question till today. Historians have searched very thoroughly into, is there substance there or not, and you could check it up. But the Ramban has a matzeva right there, like in the... Otherwise, Hebron has tzaddikim buried, but, distance, how far is it to get to Menucha Rochel? You have to go up.
It's about a 10-minute walk, 8-minute walks, not even 7 minute walk.
Nearby. Yeah. But no, here, by the oil, some of the, you want to be buried near the Rebbe, that's a 10-minute walk from, but you're in the same Beis HaKvaros. But it's still a walk. There's a big shaila, getting buried in Eretz Yisrael versus buried next to the oil. Or getting buried in the place where you lived. That's where you did your Torah and mitzvahs, your shlichus, whatever it might be. That's a big discussion. But Whoever knew where Adam and Chava was apparently kept it a secret, and it died with them, went to the grave, and nobody knew. Avram himself didn't know. Okay, Chazal say everywhere, even Avram didn't know. So how did Avram find out? So in number 1, we have a Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. So this is an old medrash going back 2,000 years. Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus is... it's Pirkei de Rabbi Eliezer. There's only one Tana called Rabbi Eliezer, Stam, Rabbi Eliezer ben Hyrcanus. And actually it's... so many thought that he himself wrote it. Of course, many modern scholars believe, it was written more recently. Why say it's so old? Okay, but in conventional Torah, Messiah tradition, it was always from him. The problem is, in one of the places it quotes Onkelos. Now, Onkelos was a student of his. That we know. Onkelos was a student of Rabbi Eliezer and Rabbi Yeshua. So the Shoyel Umeshiv, Rabbi Yosef Shol Natanson, was a big Gaon in Lemberg 150 years ago, 200 years ago. So he asked, what's going on? Like it shook his whole... Then he realized it wasn't Rabbi Eliezer himself who wrote it was his students. Like the Zohar, even we believe that it comes from Rashbi, but not the Rashbi penned it. He taught the ideas, and then it was recorded by his students and maybe even their students. And so too was written by Rabbi Eliezer students, and therefore Onkelos, who was a student, his name got in too. Right. That's what Yosef Shol Natanson writes. But either way, it's a very old medrash, and it says like this. It's in Perek Lamed Vav, and it's talking there about the feast Avram had with the Malachim. But at that time, when Sarah was kneading the bread, she sees blood. Therefore, he did not offer them from the bread. And like Rashi quotes this, that because since he wouldn't eat it, even though if a nida touches food, it's not a problem, unless it's truma or kodshim, that wasn't the case over here. But a tzaddik like Avram would eat chulin al tadas hakodesh. Even his regular food, he wouldn't eat it. He treated it like truma and like parts of a korban. No tumah was acceptable, and not just for him, even for his guests. So v'rotz lahavi ben abakar. So Avram went to get flesh. You see, when Avram asked the guests to come, he said, I'll give you bread. He doesn't offer the meat. He's trying to convince them to stay. He doesn't offer the meat, but he does give them meat in the end. You wonder, why didn't he offer them a barbecue? If he knew he was going to give them flesh and is trying to convince them to stay, he should have told them about the meat. Answered, he wasn't planning to give them meat. He was planning to give them bread. That plan fell through. So plan B was flesh.
What's the lesson for us? We're barbecuers, we're not bakers.
B'chlal, with Sarah, Avram was the husband of the barbecue, and Sarah was the baker there. We once had a whole shir about that, about the meal of Avram. Are we recording, by the way? I don't know if it's...
Yeah. The same shir, I think.
Hold on,
we already quoted this message in multiple shir.
Yeah, the Avram chased.
Okay, good. Okay, good. Well, listen. Hold on. Hello. There's going to be plenty of new stuff tonight. No. Tonight be plenty of new stuff. Ubarach lefanov ben Abakar, and the calf ran from in front of him. V'nichnas, the calf entered into the Meoras Hamachpeila. The calf, somehow there was a little opening that maybe nobody even noticed. There was somehow that or miraculously it opened then, or maybe there was always a small crack. The fact is, the calf enters the cave. V'nichnas achrav sham, Avram enters there. U'motza sham, he finds there Adam and Chava shoichvim, who are resting ala mitas, on beds, right? Very v'yisheim, they were sleeping. In other words, their bodies completely intact. V'neiros dolkin aleim, there were candles there too. Beautiful, right? Hotel room.
5 stars.
Yeah, Wi-Fi too. V'reach toiv aleim, there was a beautiful smell. Kareach nichoyach, a very satisfying smell. Leficha chomad des Meoras Hamachpeila, Avram desired there lachuz's cover. So Avram knew the secret, didn't share it to anyone. When Sarah passed away, which was years after, this story happened before Yitzchak was born. When Sarah passes away, Avram casually wants to buy that piece of land.
Should have bought it earlier, cheaper. When you didn't need it.
Yeah.
Saying they could sense that.
When you need
Yeah.
He knew already.
The Paul, they wanted to do it for free.
Also a Shvacha businessman.
Hey,
Why would he buy it and then he needed it?
No, the real estate broker was out of town. Should have every year gone back to
He
the guy.
was smarter than that. He knew he was getting it for free eventually.
Possibly, Avram didn't live there. If he would buy it and leave town, who knows what's going to happen? He wanted to buy it and then use it right away. Perhaps. He bought it and then used it right away. So I don't know. It's a good point. It's a good point. In the Zohar, it says the same thing, by the way. The Zohar says the same thing, that Avram found out the location at this point in time. It says actually Avram was in the field and he was davening, and he would smell this beautiful aroma. Didn't know where it's coming from until the calf took him there. There is an old sefer, a controversial sefer called Sefer Kushiyos. It was printed recently from manuscript, and the contention of the one that printed it is that it was from one of the Rishonim in Germany about 700-800 years ago, because the sefer just goes through hundreds of interesting questions, interesting answers. It could have been written by somebody yesterday. On the other hand, it doesn't quote anyone later than the Rosh, as far as I know, who was passed away in 1327. It only quotes people before then. So the one that printed it, who claims he had old manuscripts, he believes in different proofs that the guy must have been around that time, and he believes he was from the German group of scholars, etc. The reason it's controversial is because there are some very strange statements in that sefer. One of them is that if you buy a wedding, you're supposed to smack the Eidim, the witnesses that watch the Kiddushin. You're supposed to give them a clap. And where and how hard and who, it doesn't say. Yeah, those that watch the ring being given over.
I thought you said the Eidim, the son-in-law.
Exactly.
You know where that word comes from. The Eidim, the son-in-law.
Under the chuppah, she kicked me.
Oh.
Your wife? Yeah.
You
deserved it. No, for real, it's a thing. They do that. I didn't
What,
know
that the
that.
wife kicks
The
the...
wife kicks them.
Oh.
They kick you because
That's in Ashkenaz. In Sfard, it's the other way around. He steps on her feet and says, "You better."
So you slap the Eidim Kedushin.
It doesn't say who. It says the minig is that the Eidim need to get slapped. Now why? And it says the reason. Because how do you know you could acquire a woman with money? Because the Torah says in Parshas Kiseitze, Ki yikach ish when a man takes a wife. And by Avram and Ephron, when he was buying the Meoras Hamachpeila, Avram said, here's the money, kach, take the money. So kach is used in reference to money. So to ki yikach ish is with money. Kicha is the same gematria as ktota, which in Aramaic means a fight, a squabble. So because the whole marriage is learnt out from kicha, the yud ches can be like two tesses, 18, and the kuf and ches, and the kuf and the hey are the same. So there needs to be some squabble by the wedding, and imagine the squabble could be much worse. So you give the Eidim, the witnesses, a little patch, and that should be the squabble. And that way the husband and wife can live together happily ever after. Okay. But you see, so that's why there's a minhag. I don't know if you've ever seen it after by the chuppah. People there's punches thrown, there's blood flying. It comes from this sefer.
Again?
The Gemara. So that's already from the Gemara. The Gemara says. It says by marriage, ki yikach ish isha, when a man takes a woman, but that's enigmatic. How do you take the woman? No details. It says by Avram and Ephron, Avram tells him, here's the cash, kach mimenite. So the Gemara already links the two and says, so kicha is ktata. Same gematria as ktata, which means a squabble, a fight.
Isn't there a hay at the end of kicha?
Ktata also has a hay. It's kuf tes hay.
Tes and yud ches.
Right, the same thing, 18. So he says that, but to save the husband, the chassan and kala from having a squabble, a fight, let's just knock the Eidim, and that should be Yotze Zayin, whatever fight needs to happen. That's what it says there. So I've seen people say that it's narishkeit and this and that and blah, 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 blah. It also says there are other things. It says, one question is, why did the Goyim call us dogs? Ki li b'nei Yisrael is Rosh Tevis Kalbi, my dog. Oh, okay. We're Hashem's dog. So the Goyim call us dogs and don't even know why. Okay? Very interesting information. So, random stuff. So in the Sefer Kushis though, so therefore I've seen some people question the authenticity of it, but listen, Many of the works of the Rishonim have a few strange things here and there. It's not a reason to throw out a sefer because there's something that doesn't resound with us. But in the Sefer Kushis, it says the following. You know when Avram located the Meoras Hamachpeila? It was by the Akedah. After the story the Pirkei de Belez and the Zohar says. In the Sefer Kushis it says it was by the Akedah Avram wanted to shech the ram. Now the ram was nechaz basvach bakarnav, the pasuk says. It was caught in the thicket with its horns. Avram was coming to get the ram. The Satan didn't want it to happen, so it released the ram, and the ram fled.
That's by the base of Mikdash was the Akedah.
The Akedah was on Har Maria, yeah.
But the Hamachpeila is.
Oh, hold on! I didn't finish the story yet. I didn't finish. I'm in mid sentence. No. The pasuk says the ram is caught.
Question though.
Yeah, it's a very good question. Hold on.
He was chasing the
Hold
ram
on. It's a
and
great
caught him.
question. I have a good answer though. That the Satan releases the ram. He didn't want Avram to get hold of the ram, but the ram fled, and Avram pursued it, and the ram ran all the way to Hebron. And the ram took him to the Meoras Hamachpeila. That's what it says in Sefer Kushis. Which means, it answers your shaila about the business deal. According to...
Much later.
Right, there's a machlokes in Medrash if Sarah's death is connected to the Akedah. Rashi goes with the opinion that it was. So Avram only found it at that point, so he did buy it at his first opportunity. He found it by the Akedah, Sarah died. It was like... it was mamish min hashamayim. He realized the Eibishter showed it to him.
But he sacrificed that.
Oh, then he schlepped it back and
Back to
yeah.
It's a good way.
Not just one way.
Avram, listen, if Eliezer had kfitzas haderech when he went on behalf of Avram, you can imagine Avram himself probably had kfitzas
This
haderech.
is why there's some people.
No, but it answers your original shaila. Hold on. You should favor this for it because it takes away your original question. Avram bought it at his first opportunity, but it also shows fakert. The Eibishter revealed it to him the moment it was needed. According to Pirkei de Belez, why should Avram have known about it for all those years? I mean, it was nice, but why punkt? According to the Sefer Kushis, again, which our tradition is that it's from 800 years ago, so it should be an authentic. At least a substantial tradition, a substantial opinion, that Avram, it was revealed to him right when Sarah passed, so exactly when he needed it. Okay, so that's when Avram got hold of it. Avram buries Sarah there. There's incredible word to the Vilna Gaon. Mamish, unbelievable, perfect his style. And that is when Avram speaks to Bnei Ches in Parshas Chayei Sarah, he mentioned within the discussion, the Torah keeps on mentioning Kvar Meisecha, Kvar Meisecha, Kvar. It says 6 times Kvar Meisecha, and then there's a 7th time for good measure. The difference between the first 6 and the 7 is the first 6 it says first bury, then it says your mace. Kvar Meisecha, bury your dead. The last time it says Meischa Kvar, your dead shall you bury. So the Vilna Gaon wants to know why 7 times. And also why the first 6 are in one order and the 7th is the other. So he says incredible. Adam and Chava are already buried there. How many more people are going to be buried? L'ch'ayra, it's going to be Avraham and Sarah, Yitzchak, Rivka, Yaakov and Leah. That's 6 more people. Plus Esav's head. Because the Pirkei de Belez elsewhere, plus the Targum Yonis and Ben Uziel, they have a medrash in this week's parsha that when Yaakov was going to be interred there by his kids, Esav came, he got in the way, and Chushim ben Don picked up a sword and chopped off Esav's head, and the head rolled into the Meoras Hamachpeila. The Gemara in Soita says he picked up a baseball bat, and the eyes came in. A whole share about that, but the Pirkei de Belez Targum Yonis said, "Don't worry, there's still new stuff for tonight. Don't worry." The Targum Yonis and the Pirkei will say that the head was chopped off and rolled in. By the way, the Arizal says, "Why Taka did the head of Esav roll in? What good did Esav have?" He says, "What good did Esav have? Do you know how many Tanoim? Rabbi Meir comes from Esav. Rabbi Meir came from Rum. Niran Keser was his Zayda. The Arizal counts a number of big Tanoim, Shmaya and Avtalion, they were Gerim. The Mukubalim speak, by the way, that many Gerim came from Rome and from Esav.
But it's not a real descendant. It's the Gemara used the word Esav as code for Rome.
Right.
But it doesn't mean that its actual ancestor is Esav.
Not necessarily everybody in Rome came from Esav, but the tradition is that Rab Meir came.
But it's a code word. For the
okay, no, but it could also be.
It was dangerous to write against Rome.
No, but the Mukubalim write in their Sfarim that
later
he's the father of Rome in our tradition, right?
Esav is Avi, right. Well, he was given. Rashi says he was given Italia, Italka, Shel Yavan, that Italy, from the Greek kingdom, was given to Esav. Okay, not necessarily everybody there is Ein Klach of Esav, right? Obviously, people came, but apparently, some of the Tanoim literally came from his seed, and it's interesting. The Mukubalim speak how from Islam, very few Muslims have converted to Yiddishkeit over time. Christians much more common. And why? They're all cousins. Well, one generation back, Ishmael one. But there's a big difference. Because Esav was born into the family after Avram had a bris. He was born, the Gemara in fact gives Esav a shtickle Jewish identity. Whereas Yishmael was created before the entire thing happened, before Avram had a bris. And therefore, true, that's true. So he was a good guy that repented at the end of his life. Whereas Esav, the Gemara says in Kedushin, he could have had a halachic status for certain things, for inheritance, which is why that Christians or people that come from Esav, there's more of a likelihood for them to convert. It's a very interesting. Historically, Muslims.
Historically, they didn't, though, no?
It was more Christians have converted, many more than Muslims. For Muslims to convert. For what? For Christians? Christians couldn't convert.
At what era was
Not in the
Middle Ages.
In the Middle Ages, it was illegal for anyone to convert, but Christians did it quietly.
He's talking about the
I'm saying in Muslim lands, it was bigger chance of conversion than in Christian.
But yet it didn't happen. Yet it was less common.
Isn't that why, like, the Rambam and the Sfardi halachic Sfarim talk about conversion a lot more than in Europe? Because it was an actual thing.
I don't know.
So you're saying that there were conversions from Islam to Judaism?
I don't know. Apparently, listen, I wasn't there. I can only see what's written.
How do you know you weren't there?
If I was, I don't remember.
Well, that's different.
No, so the I means there. My conscious self now wasn't there.
Okay.
Is
And
this from the Ari? The Ari said this?
No, this is before the Ari.
No, the Arizal is saying why Esav's head went there because so many Tanoim came from him. That's what he said. Anyway, it's fine. Let's just. So back to the Vort of the Vilna Gaon because hello. You lost it. Okay, back to the Vort of the Vilna Gaon. No. Don't worry. We're gonna move. Back to the Vort of the Vilna Gaon. He says, fascinating. When Avram speaking to Bnei Ches, there are 6 more people and a half a person who's going to be buried there. 6 of them were tzaddikim. Esav is a Rasha. The Gemara says that by tzaddikim, even after they pass away, Kuruyim Chaim, they're called alive. Even after a tzaddik passes away, it's Kuruyim Chaim is called alive. The Gemara Masechta Shabbos towards the end says, wait a second, really? Hashem told Adam, offer ato, you will dust, you are dust and you return to dust. So what do you mean that tzaddikim never really die? Hashem decreed that man has to return to dust. And the Gemara answers that a tzaddik returns to dust 1 moment before Tchiyas HaMesim. It's a Gemara, it's a clear Gemara. The Gemara says that a tzaddik is in essence considered alive, even though they may not be breathing, it's considered alive in essence, until 1 moment before Tchiyas HaMesim he reversed to dust, just so he could merit Tchiyas HaMesim, just so he could merit, the full extent of Tchiyas HaMesim.
I mean, the body doesn't decompose of itself?
Even if it does, they're still considered alive. Even if it does. Even if it decomposed for whatever reason, we still apply the idea, Kruyim Chaim. I guess in their bones itself, Kruyim Chaim. But they do have, I guess, complete death, 1 moment before Tchis. That's what the Gemara says in Shabbos. Daf Kuf Nun Beis. A Rosh, on the other hand, even while he's alive, is considered dead. So says the Vilna Gaon, brilliant. Avram is talking to the Bnei Ches. It's only Adam and Chava buried there. He wants to bury Sarah. So 7 times it speaks about burying the dead because Avram and Sarah, Yitzchak, Rivka, Yaakov, Leah, and Esav. The first 6 times he says, Kvar Meisecha, because these 6 people are righteous. First they get buried and then they die. Because while they're buried, they're still considered alive. Their death only happens a minute before Tchis HaMesim. But the 7th time is Esav. He's dead before he's buried. Because the Rosh is dead while he's alive. So by him it says, Meis Chokver. The guy that's dead, you should bury. Because his death precedes the burial.
But he's
Because he's a
making
Rosh.
no account for Adam and Chava.
They're already there.
No. But
No, Avram is discussing about what he's going to do with the plot of land.
okay.
There, it's a fascinating, yeah. That's
wild.
classic Vilna Gaon. The fact that he even picked up on all that.
how does
And
he? Yeah.
how did he pick it up? Well, that's why he's the.
Explain
that-
now where
That's why you called him Gaon.
no, he's not. No, yeah.
It's not like a nigla.
But he was a big.
Oh, he has tons of these things in Chumash. He has.
He has his own chumash, his own picture.
He's penetrate. Yeah. He has a Aderes Eliyahu.
That didn't make it out of his whole idea. Like
What?
when you think of the Vilna Gaon, you don't think.
Yeah,
Makobel.
this type of.
Sure, you.
Most of his life was Kabbalah.
Yeah,
Well,
but
he was bigger in history.
but today, what
Then
he's
how
looking
is
for
he-
is
The
How
Pele
the
is how he was so out of the box in learning. But on the other hand, he was confined in his own room. He had the shutters down. The whole day, the whole night, he was in his room. In fact, the Dubner Magid,
one of the biggest.
the Dubner Magid, whose yard site is right around now, was a student friend of the Vilna Gaon. And the Dubner Magid was a great speaker, and he always gave his mishalim, and he was a darshan, would motivate and give musar. He was once sitting across from the Vilna Gaon. The Vilna Gaon says, "You give everyone musar. Give me some musar too." Say he didn't want it. He didn't want. The Vilna Gaon says, "No. I'm being serious." So the Dubner Magid says, "All right, you want to hear something?" He rolls up his sleeves and he says, "You think you're so great? You're this great scholar. You sit in your room all day. You never leave. You never go on the street. It's those people that go on the street and they have to make a parnasa." Because the Vilna Gaon actually lived off he had a great ancestor, very wealthy. So money came down. He said people have to toil for parnasa. They deal with goyim. They schwitz. They cry, and yet they come back from work to go for a mincha and for a shir. They're the ones that get credit. You have an easy life. You sit over here with your shutters down. You're closed over here, and you think, what's the kunst of living such a life? And he really gave it to him. And the Vilna Gaon was crying. When the guy finished his tirade, the Vilna Gaon says, "You're right, but who said the goal of life is to create a kunst?" Now the Dubner Magid said is the other people that spend their day amongst the goyim in the world, and yet they're able to come back and learn a daven. That's the real kunst. And the Vilna Gaon said, "Who said that's what life's about? Maybe the goal is taka to shut yourself off from the world and learn as much as you can." Well, he did. Because he believed that. There were so many Jewish hermits. There were so many Jewish hermits.
Why do you need those challenges? I mean,
Tzaddik and pelts.
Yeah,
Did they?
that's our perspective. You have to be able to appreciate his perspective.
Appreciate it.
Okay, fine. Let's go weiter. So, what? Today, right? Yeah, I knew it was somewhere. Good. Exactly. Today, the Dubner Magid is today. So beautiful. We said beautiful. Okay, let's go weiter. Where are we going with it? You'll see. In number 2 is a Medrash Rabbah. Number 2 is a Medrash Rabbah. Vatam, don't worry. The most things here are big letters. We're going to do this quick.
We're not worried.
Vatam Sarah passed away B'Kiryas Arba. So the city she passed away in is called Kiryas Arba. Kirya literally means a city. Says the Medrash in number 2, Dalet Shemus Nikrula. The city has 4 names. It's called Eshko, after the guy Eshko. Mamre, both of them were buddies of Avraham. They were great people. It's called Kiryas Arba. It's also called Chevron. So the place has 4 names. And then the Medrash says, but why is it called Kiryas Arba? Kiryas Arba is the city of the 4. Why does it have that name? Shedaru ba dal tzaddikim, because 4 tzaddikim lived there. Honor Eshkol, Mamre, and Avram. Okay, the awesome foursome. V'nimaylu ba dal tzaddikim, 4 tzaddikim had a bris there, the same 4. Here
Who were these people?
these were Avram's 3 buddies. Honor Eshkol, and Mamre. They were from Canaan. They were Canaanim. They were Canaanim. Mamre gave him advice. Yeah, we had a shir about that. Right. These were all great people.
He said you shouldn't do it. One of them said you shouldn't do it because people will laugh at you.
The Rosh said that we learned Avraham circumcised his household before he did it himself. He thought, if I do myself first, I'll be out of action for a week. Right. And whoever he circumcised died. Right. So he went to Mamre and he said, what's going on? So Mamre said, tell me exactly the words Hashem told you. Tell me the prophecy. And he told it to him verbatim. Mamre said, you missed something. Hashem said, you first. You can only give them a circumcision if you are already circumcised yourself. So Avram did himself, and then everything went good. So anyway, Dover Achar, another pshat, Kiryas Arba, the city of the 4, Shenikbru ba dalet tzadikim, because there are 4 tzadikim, the others. The Gemara says in Brachos, there ain't korin la'avos ela shloisha. There's only 3 others, but here we refer to Adam as an others too, as a forefather. That's why they're called forefathers, because there's 4 of them. All right, please, have a Okay. Adam Arishan, Avram, Yitzchak, and Yaakov, all 4 are buried in the cave. So Kiryas Arba is because of the 4 tzaddikim, the 4 others. Dover Acher, Nikbrud ba, 4 Emois. Chava, Mitamo Chava is what? 4 Emois is usually and Leah. But here Rachel's not counted, she's not there. Chava is counted. Chava, Sarah, Rivka, and Leah. It's funny because the Mukubalim say Sarah was a Gilgal of Chava. So you'd think if you would put Chava in, maybe take out Sarah. No. Chava's there, Sarah's there, Rivka, Leah. Rachel wasn't buried there. And also, Al Shem Bahalel, there were also 4 owners of the town. There were also 4. There was the giant and the 3 sons. There was a family, there was a giant and 3 sons. Okay, so the Medrash gives a whole host of reasons why it's called Kiryas Arba. The reason I have it here is because the Medrash clearly says there's only 8 people buried in that cave. There's only 8 people in that cave. 4 men, 4 women. And what we are here to see tonight is that is actually not the case. There are more people buried in Meoras Hamachpeila, at least according to some opinions. So look at number 3. Number 3 is a we've seen this once before a while back. The Sefer Chesed LaAvraham. Avraham Azulai. The Chidah Zayda.
The one who went in, no?
And in 30 seconds, the quick story. Avraham Azulai is born in Morocco, right? He wanted to learn Kabbalah. He was born in 1570 roughly, but there wasn't that much Kabbalah in Morocco. I mean, after the expulsion of Spain, people went to Morocco. So you had some Spanish scholars there, but he wanted to go to Eretz Yisrael. About the year 1600, the Arizal had passed away, but Chaim Vital was still alive. He went to learn by Chaim Vital. So he left Morocco to Eretz Yisrael because he wanted to get further training in Kabbalah. In fact, after Chaim Vital passed away, Chaim Vital took most of his manuscripts with him to the grave, literally buried with him. And the Chesed LaAvraham was someone else by the name of Yaakov Tzemach, who the Rebbe once spoke about. Yaakov Tzemach was born to a family of Marranos in Portugal. He mamash raised as a Christian. Then he became a master Kabbalist. And the Rebbe spoke, you see what he did? So then we could do the same. If he was raised as a Christian and he became a master Kabbalist, so then the potential is endless for anyone. The Rebbe once spoke by a Fabreng. Anyhow, so Yaakov Tzemach and Chesed LaAvraham, the Avraham Azulai, they got in touch with Chaim Vital after he passed away. He came to them in a dream, and he instructed them to dig up the manuscripts. And some of the stuff we have today was dug up.
They got Chaim Vital didn't want to share any of his manuscripts until he became ill, and then people came in. They got 100 different copiers, and they copied everything down.
Still, some of the stuff he took to his grave. He wrote updated versions, Madur Basra, and certain things. You're right. The Avraham Mazalai passes away in Hebron. He's buried in Hebron today. When he was there was a Turkish leader who was in Hebron and wanted to visit Zayd Avram, right? Because if they're Arabs and they come from Yishmael, if they do, right? So he went, he leaned over, and he dropped this sword which had jewels and things that he had from generations, and he screamed to his soldiers, "Go down!" He was in the old Meoras Hamachpeila. It looked different than today. He was leaning over some shaft. Anyhow, so some of his soldiers were tied to ropes, were lowered down. They all died. So this Turkish fellow said to the Jews of Hebron, "You better get me my sword, or you're all dead." Avram Azalai was chosen to go down, and it was a goyrel, and it fell on him.
We read it.
Yeah. This is not the story over here.
No,
This is
that's here. We read this story from a text, or you told
No, I probably told it to you, Balpeh. People question the story because the Chidah never writes it anywhere, but it's written in other. There's Zichron Yerushalayim, other.
We're not writing such a basic story from.
No. It's So he
He said, "Give me overnight."
So he spent the night learning Kabbalah with his friends and students, and then in the morning they attached him to a rope and they lowered him, and he's going and going, and he's taking his time until finally he says, "Okay, lift me up." They hoist him up, and he found the sword. That night he calls his friends and his students. He says, "We're doing another night of learning together." When the morning came, he lay there. He told his students, "It's time to say goodbye." They say, "Rebbe, what do you mean? Yeah, you talk up 2 nights and maybe get some sleep. Maybe you're going to get some sleep." So he says, No. He says, "You know, it took me so long there. There's a porthole there to Gan Eden." He says, "I found Eliezer there." The Gemara says that Eliezer is still hanging around there, and he took me to where the Avos are. And he says the smell of Gan Eden was so strong. Oh, it's going?
Would you like some? Sure.
No. Let the Bacham take it. No. We give every. No. Let the Bacham take. No. Just a little bit of the fish. A little bit of the fish.
Don't worry,
So he almost fainted from the smell, and then when he woke up, he wanted to go into Gan Eden alive, and the Avos told him, No. You'll join us tomorrow. And then he went up. So he told the people around him, the Avos told me yesterday, I'm joining them today. He closed his eyes, he said Shema, and he passed away. That's the story. But over here, Avram Azalai.
Remember from Sunday?
Yep, thank you.
So the soldiers,
thank you for reminding us.
the soldiers that died in there remained there, or they took them out?
No, they only knew they died because they hoisted them up and they were dead. Anyhow, so in this sefer, this is the Chesed LaAvram. Avram Azalai discusses a bit about Gan Eden. He says you should know that Gan Eden was created many years before this planet Earth, and planet Earth is 1/60th of the garden. Just outside, he quotes this tradition that...
You can't skip this whole thing. It's pretty insane.
It's very... Okay, so we'll read it. Number 3, in the 4th line of number 3. 4th line. V'zeh ha'olam, the 4th line in number 3. I said outside the first 3 lines. V'zeh ha'olam oimed li'etzad yaminoi shel Gan Eden. This world stands to the right of Gan Eden. L'ruach droimis mizrachis, to the southeast. This world in front of Gan Eden is kiyelad ben yomer lifnei, like a baby in front of the mother. The karka ha'olam, and the surface of this world, hashafel, this low world, rachak migarga hakan tefach, is only 1 tefach away from the surface of Gan Eden. Okay, what this means, anybody's guess. Utzfayna shel olam hashafel eitzel droimis. The north of this world is by the south of the garden, so the garden's like right on top of us. Ulitzfayna shel olam al hashafel shama gehenim. And Gehenim's also there, the place of mazikin and malachim, bad malachim. V'tzuras ha'olam hashafel, and the tzura of this world is ketzuras ois beis, is like the letter beis.
What's tzura mean?
The shape.
I would think of
Va'afal pikein hu kosher. Bein l'chaim, bein l'meisim, l'echus l'Gan Eden. Because Gan Eden is to the north of this world, as is Gehenim, when you go from this world to Gan Eden, it's perilous. You're going through a dangerous neighborhood.
This is the Romans, the Greeks, the river Styx. The way to get through. It's interesting where they got that.
Mipnei pachad hamazikim of Gehenim, which are in the so both Gehenim and Gan Eden are in the north of the world. And lochin therefore God Chachmasi Yisbarach to make mechilas offer. The Eibishter made tunnels. Now these tunnels are important. The tunnel goes Meoras Hamachpeila in Hebron until the end of this world next to Gan Eden. So in the Meoras Hamachpeila, there's a tunnel that goes direct access to Gan Eden without having to go through the hot Gehenna area. Kedei sheyavru neshamas tzadikim through there, and they shouldn't bump into the mazikim. Adam and Chava knew this. That's why they wanted to be buried there. Adam wanted that for him and his wife, it would be an easy path to Gan Eden. And from the day Adam and Chava nistam, here he says clearly, the mouth of the cave was sealed, so no one should know what's going on there. Now on the left-hand side, on that day that Avram went to the calf, this is like the Zohar in the Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer, with Yishmael his son to take 3 calves from his miknah. Raphael went hidden behind the 2. Now Avram gave to Yishmael. He can only give him 2 cows. How's Yishmael meant to take 3? He gave him 2 cows. So Avram then went. Now he just, he's walking like a penguin after his verse. He's trying to get the 3rd cow. Raphael transforms himself into a cow, a beautiful choshuv and meshubach. Raphael is like an anagram. Par kale, the cow, a strong cow. Par choshuv. So Avram went to grab the cow. The cow ran. But ma'at, slowly, I knew Avram couldn't really keep up. And Avram walked after it until it schlepped him to the entrance of the cave. V'niftach pesach ha'ma'ora. Right? This is going like the Zohar in Pirkei de Rabbi Lezer. So Avram was living in Hebron anyway, so it's not that far that he had to walk. And Adam he sees Adam and Chava buried there. He smells Gan Eden. Right away, Yoda, he knew Milas Hamakim, he knew the specialty of the area. V'chamat he coveted, he desired that he should be buried there. And then he got hold of the cow, and he brings it home. The problem is the cow wasn't really a cow. So when he came home, he looks around, he's looking for 3, only finds 2, the ones Yishmael brought. Avram's like, oh boy, the guests are waiting. I don't have time to go back to the barn. So Avram created a 3rd one through Sefer Yetzirah, because it also would have taken too long to go to the barn. That was the one that was mixed with, that's what the Malbim says. Fine. Anyhow, and that's why it says he gave him the Bakar Asher Osam means Osam Mamish.
For a couple of years.
And then he says that the cave, the Meoras Hamachpeila, he ends up is like a garden to Gan Eden. In other words, they're connected via a path, by a tunnel, but the connection is so strong that the Meoras Hamachpeila is like the garden, like a courtyard in front of Gan Eden.
Is this where the Machshimam got the idea of tunnels? Sorry.
The tunnel is going to play an important thing. Okay, so this is all good. Here's the problem. Here's the problem.
Whole sefer like this?
So this is the same.
This is actually the easy reading. He has lots of interesting stuff. He has.
To put this down on paper and someone's going to take you seriously. It's just.
Back then, it was more
incredible.
More probable.
Why do you
to lay down the facts?
It's on paper. Why doubt it?
So here's the thing. Yaakov Avinu was buried there this week. He's number 8. L'chera, he should be the last person. However, number 4, this is from the Sefer Yalkut Reuveni, written a couple hundred years ago. Yalkut Reuveni, a guy, Reuven Sofer Katz, he made a collection of the most interesting material he could find from random Medrashim, Kabbalah Sfarim, and he called it a Yalkut collection. And he says, and he says, hey Zugas, there are actually 5 couples buried in the Meorah. Not 4, there's 5. 3 are revealed, 2 are hidden. The revealed are Avram and Sarah, Yitzchak, Rivka, Yaakov, and Leah. Hanistorm, the hidden, are Adam and Chava, Moshe and Tzipora. You ever heard? Moshe and Tzipora are buried in Meoras Hamachpeila.
How did they get into...
Good. So hold on.
What does it mean, Nicholas, in the stories?
3 of them are able to be seen, 2 of them are unable to be
In
seen.
other words, known and unknown. They're known.
No.
Are as known as
No.
Avram and Sarah.
L'cher nistarim means that they're unable to be seen. Now Avram saw them, though, we saw.
Right, and also Nigos.
Avram was able to see.
You can go and see the actual kever of.
No, you can't.
So what does Nigos
Right.
mean?
You can't see any
Maybe it's possible. Maybe if you
Yeah,
dig,
but if you go down
if you
deep, there's a
dig,
way
it's
to see
possible to be seen.
No,
Now,
theory. Yeah.
In theory.
No, not theory.
No, you can't see it.
There are people that went there. There's a whole. If you go, listen. If you go to the tour, Heilinger gives a tour, and they have people in recent times, before the state of Israel, right afterwards, they went into the cave. They went lower. There was a little girl that they lowered down there.
So that someone took a picture of or something.
No.
No.
Put down a little drone.
What?
Exactly. Little robot. Send it down.
Let's go. Hello.
Sneaking in, they had to sneak around the Arabs to get in there. They had to put a little girl in there.
Go inside.
Where is he quoting this from?
Stick it out of your pocket.
There's an old sefer called Sefer Tmuna.
Big
Did
camera.
they even point the word?
There are 3 Kabbalistic works that are associated with the Tana of Nechunya ben Hakana, who authored the Honor B'Kayach. There's the Sefer HaBohir, we relate to him, Sefer HaKana, and Sefer HaTmuna. It happens to be that the Ramak, Reb Moshe Cordovero, doesn't believe that he wrote the Sefer HaTmuna. You know? So if Stam, a modern scholar, would say that, we would say, okay, let him say that. But the Ramak says it's a big thing. But either way, it's an old Kabbalistic Sefer. And this is where the idea comes from. That Moshe and Tzipora are there. Now, the Afopi, it says about Moshe, Vayikbar Oisabagah is buried in the valley. If you look in Parshas Zohar Bracha, Moshe died on top of the mountain. He was buried in the valley. Zeo l'mashal. It's a mashal. Maybe Meoras Hamachpeila is like a valley underground. You know why? Because there's another pasuk that contradicts. It says V'lo yoda ishes kfurasa. No one knew where he's buried. If he's buried in the valley, then people know where he's buried. What does it mean? No one knows where he's buried. So it must be Eilu v'Eilu. Both of these psukim are the word of the living God. The pshat's like this: Emes taka lo yoda ishes kfurasa. No human knows where he's buried, but the malachim, the angels, know, because the angels took him there. The angels know where he's buried. Nobody else. You know why no one knows where he's buried? Because they saw him die across the Yarden in the east. That's why he's not buried there. He was buried in Meoras Hamachpeila. That's why no one knows where he is. So, the Haraya, the proof is, Ki mineged tira haaretz. Hashem told Moshe, you'll see the land from across. V'shama loy sovi, there you won't go. You know what it means, you won't go? But Asma, you can't go. You could be brought there. Elo yuviyacha batara, they will bring you in your purity. And this is because Moshe was buried through the angels. And Tzipora probably went into Eretz Yisrael with the women. And she was buried. The fact that Adam and Chava are concealed, there's a mysterious tradition about that. This is all from the Sefer Tmuna. And then he continues, hold on. Yalkud Ru'uveni. Yalkud Ru'uveni. Fascinating, mamash, it's a Eilu Hey Zugas are connected to 10 spheres. There's 10 people now. 10 spheres. Chomesh Zugas, because the 10 spheres can be paired up the following. By the Kabbalists, you can take out Das and put Keser. So Keser Bazuga Yesoid. I'm not going to explain this, just to read it. Keser's mate is the sphere of Yesoid. Tiferes Bazuga Hoator, the crown, which is Malchus. Chochma Bazuga is Bina. Chesed Bazuga is Gvura. Netzech Bazuga is Hoid. And that's why it's called Meoras Hamachpeila, that it's doubled. Because they're all pairs. The cave of pairs. Because all 5 of them correspond to the 10 spheres, which can also be made into 5 shidduchim. So this is the most interesting piece of information. Moshe is there. Turn the next page. The next page is, go to number 6 for a second. The sefer called Yam HaGodol, the great sea, written by a Sephardic Rav a couple generations ago. He says, Re'ezeh Chidush. Listen here, he says. I saw in the Pirush, we're in number 6. We'll come to 5 in a moment. Alater Rabbeinu David Hanagid Neched Harambam. The Rambam had a grandson, David Hanagid. He was a wealthy man, caretaker of the community, David Hanagid. Chiber B'lashon Arabi, he put together a work in Arabic. V'nimtze b'ksivas Yad Yosh. This guy who wrote this was a Rav in Egypt. He says, I saw V'nimtze b'ksivas Yad Yoshin, Poi over here in Egypt. I'm a rabbi in Egypt, and here we have the manuscript. Shekosov, he writes in Parshas Chayesora on the pasuk, the Ekbras Meisi Shomer, Avram says, I'll bury my mace. That Moshe Rabbeinu was ber Hamachpeila b'Chevron. V'Ramu then hinted b'milas Shema Oisius Moshe Shama. You find the word Shama. Yaakov refers Shama Kavarti Esleya Shama, letters of Moshe. That's what the Rambam's grandson writes. So says this rabbi in Egypt. No idea where this guy got it from. Where did the Rambam's grandson, in this old Arabic, from the Rambam's grandson, where does he get this from? And if he's buried in Meoras Hamachpeila, then we know where he's buried. Vupel, it's a wonder.
Wow, he'd explain it before.
It's funny, yeah, right. In the Yaakov Raveni, quoting the Sefer Tmuna Fakert, he used that pasuk to prove his point. But the Malachim, no. But why? But according to this Rav is asking, the Rav is asking if he's buried in Meoras Hamachpeila, that means we know where he is.
Maybe we don't know where in Meoras Hamachpeila. Or because Meoras Hamachpeila is such
Look at number 7 for a second. Number 7 is a Sefer Megalit Funas. Number 7, Megalit Funas, was written by Eliyahu HaKohen of Izmir, who was in the generation before the Baal Shem Tov. He's born in the 1650s. He's obviously in Turkey, in Izmir. We mentioned him many times. He wrote tons of fascinating Sfarim. He was a beautiful darshan. People would come to his shul, not for the Kiddush, just to hear him speak.
Dangerous time to be a rabbi in Izmir.
What?
Dangerous time to be a rabbi in Izmir.
Shabsai Tzvi.
Yeah.
So he he was a baby. He was a little kid at the time, right? But he says once someone came into shul to hear him speak, and afterwards he says, Rabbi, I was going to do something today. I can't tell you what I was going to do. Can't tell you. One thing I can tell you is though, after your speech, I'm not going to do it.
Right.
Yeah, I said it. But anyhow. Rabbi Eliyahu HaKohen of Izmir wrote many Sfarim. This is the first time we're quoting from this book of his, Megalit Funos, revealing the hidden. And in it, I was sure, he wrote such interesting Sfarim, he must discuss somewhere about this incident. And he does. And he says beautiful, V'lo yada ishes kvurasai. It says no one knows where he's buried. You know what the Medrash says? Ish refers to Moshe. Moshe is called Ha'ish Moshe on of Moed. Even Moshe doesn't know where he's buried. Says Rabbi Eliyahu HaKohen, why doesn't Moshe know where he's buried? He says Moshe is confused. Moshe knows he davened in the land of Moav. Now he finds himself in Meoras Hamachpeila. He's confused. He says, Afilu Moshe, Af Moshe doesn't know Mokum Kvudosei. Because Hakavana, what it means is, Kivin Shani, he was buried, L'chatchila Moshe was buried Trans-Jordan. Ever Yarden, Mul Beis Pa'er, near the Pa'er where the Yidden sinned, the story of Zimri and everything. Yeah. But Varai, he sees himself in Machpelah. So Moshe says, I know I was buried. According to one opinion, Moshe buried himself. There's nowhere the Machlokes of Hashem buried him or Moshe buried himself. He knows where it was in the land of Moav. And now he looks around, there's no where he is. That's the pshat. V'lo yada ishes kvurasai. And the Medrash says Ish refers to Moshe. He is confused because what's going on?
But 1 second, if he's in the Kever Hamachpeila, he would recognize Yaakov, Yitzchak, and Abraham.
They're not.
Yeah, but why is he there?
But wait a second. But if he recognizes,
no, he knows his neshama. He thinks his neshama is there. He doesn't know where his body is.
Wow, that's.
You're asking why is he?
He's in Meoras Hamachpeila.
Why doesn't he figure it out?
Remember, even
you're asking why doesn't he figure it out?
Even on Sunday,
you know you're in Meoras Hamachpeila.
You know,
he thinks it's not his body. Maybe it's his soul, his neshama.
Yaakov, that Moshe and Yaakov.
Part of his neshama.
They took it from the Malachim. So
Moshe maybe feels.
Recognizes it's not the body.
No. Maybe it's his. Maybe part of his soul is there, and he thinks it's only my soul. He doesn't think his body's there.
That's a good point. Right? Yeah. Okay.
Maybe the body's buried there, The soul is hovering around, and the soul doesn't see the body. And Moshe was like, "Why is this part of me here if my body was in the land of Moav?" Anyhow, listen.
First of all, if you read it carefully, he's not saying that.
Isn't there a medrash?
He's not saying he doesn't know where he is. He doesn't know where his Iker Mokum Kvarasa.
I think that means where the body is, where the body is.
Where's his place? Like, where's his proper place? He knows where he is. He sees himself as not his body. Yeah, he sees. It's part of his. He's part of his soul hovering. But the Eibusha hid it from him. You know, it says each person.
Or maybe it was for a period of time.
Like
it says Adayim. It says Adayim.
Isn't there a medrash where they see the caver of Moshe, and when they go to it, it keeps moving?
The Gemara says, wherever you are, look somewhere else.
They went up and they saw it on the bottom. They were on the bottom. They saw it on
they
top.
saw it physically.
They split up and they each saw it.
Right.
The whole thing could have been a mirage.
Everything could be explained.
I think
by
it says that they knew where he was buried. I mean, they knew
the
that he
Gemara
was
says
buried
it was
on
like
the
a
mountain.
magic trick.
Right.
Wherever they were, it seemed somewhere else. So maybe it was actually nowhere. Or what they saw were where was his burial site. Yeah, he was buried there.
They knew where
but then he was moved. He was moved. Well, they watched something to see, even that they couldn't locate. He was moved. So let's go to number 5. Number 5, the Chidah talks about this too. In his commentary to Parshas Chayesara, El Meoras Hamachpeila, Avram buries Sarah over there. Kasav Rabbeinu Eliezer miGermaiza Zal b'Ksav Yad. Elazar of Worms, Germaiza is Worms, who was one of the greatest Kabbalists in medieval times, the greatest student of Rabbi Yehuda HaChassid. He wrote tons and tons of works in Kabbalah. And in one of his manuscripts, he writes, Meoras Hamachpeila, the cave, Rosh Tevis Moshe, V'Hamaskel Yovin, Ad Kan Lashona. In this manuscript, there's a half a sentence.
He drops.
Hamaskel Yovin. So the Chidah says, someone who's the intellectual will understand. Those that
the worthy will comprehend.
What's he talking about? So the Efshir Luma says the Chidah. The Chidah's writing this 250 years ago. He quotes the Yalkut Raveni that we saw in number 4. Parshas Zois HaBracha, who quotes Mishem Sefer HaTmuna, that Moshe Rabbeinu Olav Shalom answered buried Meoras Hamachpeila by the Ovis Ayin Sham. See there. Val Pizeh. Now I understand what the Rebbe Eliezer, he's called Rebbe Eliezer Reikeach of Garmais is talking about. Ossi Shaper comes out well. The Rosh Tevis of Meoras Hamachpeila, Moshe. Gam also El Moshe, Shuhu Rosh Tevis. Meoras Hamachpeila, Gematria Kapora Im HaKoilel. Should be Tzipora. I think it's supposed to be Tzipora. Anyhow, okay, you can figure out that Gematria on your own. But here's the thing. He said, wait a second. Umasha Almuz al Kiryas Arba. But the Medrash we saw in number 2. Why was Chevron called Kiryas Arba, the city of the 4? Because 4 Zugah Shenikburu. But according to this tradition, there's 5. So says the Chidah, Hainu be'eis Petirasam. The 4 were buried there when they died. Moshe was died and buried in the land of Moav. Later on, he was carried by the Malachim. We're counting people that were buried there on death, not that were moved there later on. That's the answer of the Chidah, very important answer. But then he says, but I'm not happy because there's a Zohar HaKadosh Parshas Vayechi. If you open a Zohar in this week's Parsha, at the end it says, on Daf Kuf Nun Omer, it says, D'loi kibla ma'arta barnash ochra. It says in the Zohar actually that when Yaakov went to Mitzrayim with his family, the beautiful smell of Gan Eden left. I'm pretty sure it says that, if I remember correctly. But when Yaakov was brought to be buried there, it came back, and the Zohar describes the beautiful reception that Yaakov received when he came. And then the Zohar says these words. After Yaakov loy kiblu ma'arta barnosh ochra, the cave did not receive anybody else. So says the Chidah, how are you going to answer that? The Medrash Rabbah, we have a bit of an answer. But what about the Zohar? The Efshir lidchay k'tzatz, he says you could kind of squeeze out an answer. So some say maybe the same answer the Chidah gave for the Medrash you give for the Zohar. That you'd say that when the Zohar says that the cave closed and it means for someone to be buried there as a levaya, for someone to die and be buried there, no. But Moshe was carried later by the Malachim way after he was buried, that may not be included in the Zohar statement. But it's a daicha because the Zohar says that the cave wasn't makabel anyone. In other words, it's sealed forever. No one else can come in. It's only to be buried there after you die, but not to be moved there later on.
Bar Nash, is it?
Bar Nash, people, humans. So the Chidah...
Do you think that Yosef was worthy of being buried there?
I'm sure lots of people were worthy.
No,
Maybe
but
it
I
was
mean,
because
because
of Barnash.
wait one second. Abraham buys it, his great-grandfather.
Yosef
Yaakov
wanted to be buried in Shechem.
Carried there, promised the bones, but why not Yosef? If they're
Why not all
going
the
to
Shvatim?
carry,
why only
if they're going
Yosef?
to carry
Why not all
Yaakov,
the
why not
Shvatim?
take Yosef also?
No, Yosef couldn't leave. Paro would never let Yosef's body to go. When the Yidden left Mitzrayim, they took Yosef's bones and all the Shvatim.
All the Shvatim.
Yeah.
Why
All
not
the Shvatim
Yehuda?
were taken.
Why
They
not
were all
Sefer?
taken.
Sefer Yosher, I think it is. That he
That's
lives.
my point.
Where they're all-
Where they're
Why
buried,
not?
yeah.
Why not? You know, you're carrying a
so let's go.
Yaakov, why not take his favorite son with him?
Okay, let's go.
That's
Why not Yehuda?
He was
What
a
is the
blessing.
progenitor?
He
of
could
his-
have. Even this week's parasha, Yosef was barely able to get his father out of Mitzrayim. Paro initially told Yosef, "No, I don't want you to go." And Yosef said, "I swore to my
That's
father."
why I made him swear.
Right. That's why
That's
Yaakov
the
made
thing
him
to
swear.
Paro,
Yeah,
they made him
yeah.
swear
They're
about
also
the silence.
exactly.
yes, right.
He barely got his father out. Okay. So you have the Yalkut Ruveni. It goes way back to the Sefer Tmuna. Rebbe Lazar of Worms. The Chidah. The Rambam's grandson's talking about this, so it's not just the Kabbalists, it's the rationalists too. Rebbe Yoach Cohen of Izmir is talking about it. It seems to be that, it's not just a random opinion. Everyone's talking about it.
In Kabbalistic circles.
No, the Rambam's grandson's writing about it too.
Not necessarily as a rationalist. Avram ben Arambam was a big makubal.
Oh, so it's Kabbalah circles.
He was a doctor. Yeah, I'm sure. Okay. We have a good sefer of his in Musar. Sefer Hamaspik Lo'evdei Hashem, it's called.
What does that mean?
Servant.
That
servant of God.
right.
Guide to serving God.
Wow.
And anyhow, so what's the issue? So number one, the issue is the Chidah as a kasha from the Zohar. The Zohar in this week's parasha says the cave sealed itself. So what are you going to do with that? Is there another way to answer? In addition, look at number 8. Number 8, this is from the Yalkut Shimoni. There's Yalkut Ruveni, Yalkut Shimoni, but Yalkut Ruveni was written 350 years ago. 300 years ago or so. Yalkut Shimoni was written 800 years ago.
It's also a makubal.
No. It's Niglin.
Niglin.
Reb Shimon of Frankfurt. It's quoting from Medrash and Gemaras. And in the end of Zois HaBracha, he quotes actually from the Sifri, which is the halachic Medrash. Hashem told Moshe, Zois, Hashem told Moshe, you see this land? Get a good look at it because this is your last chance to see it. Amar Loi. Hashem told him, La'avis nishpati, I swore to the Avis b'shvua that I would give it to their Eneklach. U'lecha heresicha beinach, I'm showing it to you. I want you to go to the Avis and tell them that I kept my oath.
Right.
Then Hashem says, V'shama loy savra, don't pass. That's what it says in the Chumash. So the Sifri, which the Yalkut Shimoni is quoting, says, Ne'emar kan, it says here, V'shama loy savra, you won't pass there. It says, Lahalon v'shama loy savra, Hashem also told him, you won't go there. Ma tamad loim, why did Hashem have to say both? He said, Shama loy savra, you won't come to Eretz Yisrael, or Ma tamad loim, and v'shama loy savra, you won't pass there. Because Moshe said, Hashem, Im eini nichnas b'chayif, I won't go alive, ekonas b'meis, let me go dead. Moshe begged, which by the way is a big thing. The Gemara says that there were big people that frowned upon a Yid who lived outside Israel, and after he dies, he wants to be buried in Eretz Yisrael. And they quoted a pasuk which says, "Vatovoyu vatuktamu esartzi." You want to come and impurify my land? You didn't. Eretz Yisrael wasn't good enough for you to live in. Now you want to come be buried here? And there's a major discussion based on Gemaras and this and that. Is it appropriate for someone who didn't live in Eretz Yisrael while they were alive to go and get buried there?
Can't apply it.
Oh, so you hold on, but look at this. Moshe Rabbeinu begged. He never went in, and he wants to go now. He says, if I didn't go in alive, Echonas Bames, let me come in dead. Hashem said, V'shama lo yisov, you ain't coming in, even after you pass away. He said, Eibishter, im eini niklas bam, if I don't come in as a king, Ekonis bohedyet, let me enter as a ordinary individual. Hashem said no, v'shama loy savar. Not a king, not a simpleton, not alive, not dead. Absolutely no. So l'chayra, this means that Hashem said, you're not coming in even after you die. You're not going to Eretz Yisrael.
Clearly, he asked to go in after he's dead. I mean, this is hard to overcome.
No, if he's not coming,
No,
in,
how
he's
does
not there.
Hashem said no.
Yeah, no. So
Forget
how
about
do
getting
you
into Meoras Hamachpeila. He's not
exactly
going into Israel.
exactly?
Right.
So how l'chayra this disproves the idea? It's a big problem. Look at number 9. Another question. This is the Chidah in his Sefer Midbar Kedemus. Kosav Harav HaKadosh Reb Chaim Vitalza. Zichroi l'chayi ha'elam haba.
The answer to 8 is Hashem changed his mind.
No.
He allowed it afterwards.
Maybe there's a better. Maybe there's not. Maybe.
He allowed
Move
it.
on. Let's move on.
Stay tuned.
Amar li Moirizal. I didn't say I'm giving any answers to these questions. At 10 o'clock we're done. We're ever beholding. Anyhow.
It's 3
Reb
pages.
Chaim Vital says, my teacher, the Arizal, told me, Kishama, that he heard from a Chacham Echad, from a big wise mouth, Godol Adar, Rabbeinu Klonimus.
Who is this?
I don't know, there's many Rabbeinu Klon. It was a big family going back 1,000 years ago or more in Germany. Ashkenaz family.
See the Ashkenaz.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, they're from
And
the original
apparently, though, there was a
Yerushalayim.
Rabbeinu Klonimus in the times of the 1500s as
Let's
well.
get to the point.
Ki Matzino, we find the Yaakov Avinu Olav Shalom, a famous Chassidic Rebbe, Klonimus Kalman of Piasetzna. The Piasetzna Rebbe, who was a Rebbe, was murdered in the Holocaust.
Oh,
He gave droshes in the Holocaust, and he wrote them down. He wrote them down on paper and he buried them. And shortly after the liberation, the manuscripts were discovered and published. Eish Kodesh, it's called, the Holy Fire. It's a small sefer, I have it, and in it you have the droshes, and the Piasetzna wrote on the top page of these papers, said, whoever finds this, I'm probably not alive anymore, I beg you guys to print this. And it's mamish the droshes he gave while they were in
How do you have paper and pen and stuff?
well, they managed to get. I guess he was a Rebbe, you know. I guess I don't know. But Klonimus, what did he say? Ki motzino de Yaakov Avinu al v'sham nikbar gufoy atzmois tzveitzal. Avraham Avinu's body and bones, because they embalmed him. His body was to whatever level they embalmed him is another shir we once said. I don't know if it was recorded or put on the thing. Big machlokes if the Abarbanel says they mummified him, they took out his organs and everything. Rabbeinu Bechai says they just put creams on the outside of the body. But either way, Avram Yaakov went in body intact. Yosef Atzadik nikbru atzmoisav loy gufay. His body rotted; it was only his bones. That's what it says. It's an opinion. Rabbeinu Klonimus. All of a sudden, all of a sudden, you're not such a fan. Right, but it says kol atzmoisai tomarna. Kol atzmoisai tomarna doesn't mean my bones. It means my essence. So there's a big discussion by Yosef's atzmos. Does it literally mean the bones? Well, according to Klonimus Taka, Moshe Rabbeinu Shalom had nothing, not his body, not his bones. Nothing went in. You know what the reason is? You know what Rabbeinu Klonimus said? You'll never believe it. Eretz Yisrael is keneged eishes chayil yiras Hashem. Eretz Yisrael is like a beautiful wife. Yaakov Avinu did not marry Timna, the sister of Loitan. There was a woman called Timna who wanted to marry Yaakov or one of the Shvatim. She wasn't allowed in. So she said, if I can't marry Yaakov's family, I'll marry into Esav's. She married Eliphaz and she had a son, Amalek. And we're suffering because of that. And that's actually, it says that you shouldn't push away Gerim. Because Yaakov pushed away Timna, and now we're suffering from Amalek till today. So lekach zocha, because Yaakov was kept. But over here it's saying it's flipping it. Here it's saying it was a good thing. Yaakov was zocha because Eretz Yisrael is also like a wife. So since he was careful about who he married, he got the full dose of Eretz Yisrael. He covered his body and his bones. Yosef Atzadik sinned in thought with the wife of Potiphar, because according to one opinion, he went in to be with her, and then last moment he caught himself. Right. One opinion is,
Fingers in the ground.
yeah, and then the zera came out, but therefore his bones went in, not his body. But Moshe married a Isha Kushis. In Parshas Balois, it speaks about the Isha Kushis. Right. Well, many hold that she was not Tzipora, it was another wife.
Oh, the one from the...
But even if it was Tzipora, maybe Tzipora was a Kushis. The Zohar says Tzipora was not a biological daughter of Yisrael. And Tzipora and Basia were both sisters that were being sold in the marketplace. And Paroi and Yisrael came to the market. Paroi bought Basia, and Yisrael bought Tzipora.
Hung out. Yisrael was one of his advisors.
Right. And Basia would have also been older. No, so Bechal, she could have mamish been... Yisrael is from Midian, but Tzipora could have mamish been dark-skinned.
So she was a lot older than Moshe?
Or Basia was a lot...
Or she was just a kid who had a baby boy?
A couple years older. Basia would have been older l'chayra than... How old was Basia when she pulled Moshe out of the thing?
Could have been 10, 12.
Yeah, could have been
14,
young.
I thought.
She was 14?
Okay, so she was...
I don't know.
Maybe she had just been acquired by Paroi, and Tzipora could have been a baby, 1 or 2 years older than Moshe, like the Rebbe and the Rebbetzin, not could have been. Anyhow, but since Moshe Rabbeinu took a woman he shouldn't have taken, and then he says, let's assume here that it is Tzipora, but the Torah calls her in Ba'aloischa Isha Kushis. So if you say it's not Tzipora, it's 2 different women. If you say it is, then Tzipora is this, for some reason she's called Kushis. V'hagam shaloi karvela. He didn't touch her. L'chayr, that means, if it's Tzipora, the last 40 years of Moshe's life, he had separated from her.
Right.
If it's not Tzipora, then it could be Moshe married. Moshe lived in Kush for 40 years. It could be he married someone there as a political statement. So it could be what Rabbeinu Chlonimus is saying is that if it's a different woman, it could be Bechlal never touched her. Well, no kids with her.
Mom lawyers does say that.
That he never
was a woman that he never touched.
Right. So that would be the tradition here. So, but nonetheless, officially they were married. Therefore, even his bones didn't come to Eretz Yisrael.
Isn't that why they...
Eilu divrei Rabbeinu Chlonimus. So the shaila is, so this obviously is a whopping statement in and on its own. And but you see from over here that Moshe never made it in.
Right.
Like the Sifri.
He made it in later.
And hold on, the shilas continue. Next page, last page. The shilas continue. The shilas continue. Number 10 is an incredible medrash. Loi Chaylim, number 8. Number 8 was Loi Chaylim.
Saying, but the Chidah, Lam Dafka is saying that he never made it in.
The,
Could be he wasn't buried there because of this Chushis later. He made it in later.
So you blame it on the Kushit, right?
Good deal.
Are you saying the same idea as the Chidah? Yeah, okay. You could use the same idea as the Chidah over here. Moshe, burial means from death to the ground. Being moved later is not really called burial. That's called being transferred. Burial means when you go in the first time. You had. Number 10 is a credible medrash, Rabba and Eicha. In the Psichte, in the introduction, Ois 24. It speaks about the time of the destruction of the first Beis HaMikdash. It says, at that time, HaKadosh Baruch Hu was crying, and he said, woe to me over my house. What's with my children? What's with my Koyanim? You see, he separated children and the Koyanim. Oyavai, those that I love, where are they? I know, I don't know. I don't know.
Koyanim are not children?
Koyanim are special. It's
Special.
Hey, Hashem Gita, we say it in Hallel all the time.
Special.
Not children.
The Kohanim are not allowed to have relations. Physical relations.
This guy's got 5 kids.
Unless it's a Kushi.
Last I checked.
Sorry, it's going to take too long.
43.
Wait a minute, this is recorded.
All
I
about
take
the
it
number
back.
43.
I take it back.
That's the key.
You can't have this recorded.
So Hashem said, what should I do to you guys? Hisraisi b'chem, I warned you. Hashem said, I sent how many prophets to you? You guys didn't do tshuva. So Hashem summons you. Yirmiyah was alive on planet Earth. Hashem tells Yirmiyah in a prophecy, I am doima hayoim, I am like a person that had an only son. He made a chuppah, and the son died by the chuppah. That's how I feel. And he tells Yirmiyah, you don't care at all. Ein l'cha ke'ez, Yirmiyah, you don't care? Not on me, not on my kids? Yirmiyah, why aren't you storming the heavens? Why are you okay? Your hands are,
Moshe. Wow.
He's talking to Yirmiyah, right? He says, go call Avram Yaakov, go call Moshe from Mikivraim where they're buried. They know how to cry. You don't know how to cry, Yirmiyah. Go summon those that know how to cry. So Moshe says, Hashem, I can go to the others, but ain't a day where Moshe is. I don't know where Moshe is buried. Because it says, Lord, no one knows where he is. So Hashem says, you know where Moshe is? I'll tell you where he is. Lech go, Amoid stand al Sfasar, and stand at the edge of the Jordan River. Harem kolcha, raise your voice and scream, Ben Amram, Ben Amram. Get up and see that your flock is being swallowed by the enemies. So Yirmiyah went straight to Meoras Hamachpeila, and he told the others, get up. The time has come that you're being sought by God. Now, he didn't tell them the truth. He was embarrassed. He was embarrassed to tell them that I couldn't stop the Churban. Look where the Yidden have sunk on my watch. So they asked him, Lama, why does God want us? He said, I don't know. Because he was Misyari, he was scared. They're going to say, in your days, Yirmiyah, this happened to our kids. Under your watch, so Yirmiyah was afraid. So Yirmiyah left them, and he went to the edge of the yard, and he says, Ben Am, get up. The time has come that God wants you. So Moshe says, why? He says, I don't know. So Moshe left him, and Moshe went to the Malachim to find out what's going on over here.
Who left who?
Nichoy Moshe sounds like Moshe left him. Before Yirmiyah left the others here to which Malachim? Right, exactly. Which Moshe found his old buddies, the ones that he knew from the time of Matan Torah, and he told them, "Mishar Seil Yonim, Klumatim. Do you know why I'm being summoned in front of Hashem?" They said, Ben Amram, you don't know? Don't you know? How could you not know? Iyat, don't you know the Beis HaMikdash is destroyed? Yidden are being exiled? And Moshe began to cry and scream till he reached the others. And together, the four of them, they tore their clothes, they put their hands on their heads, and they screamed and cried till the gates of the Beis HaMikdash. When the Eibishter saw them, it says the Eibishter calls out that we need to cry and mourn, etc. Fine, that's the Medrash. What do you see from this Medrash clearly? Moshe is not together in Meoras Hamachpeila. He's not there. Wow.
Maybe he stayed there after they joined together. At the end of this Medrash.
Is this the same crime?
Okay. But the Shaila is that Sefer HaTmuna says Malachim brought him. It sounds like here he brought himself. One more question go to number 11. This is the Gemara in Saita, the end of the first parak, speaks about the death and the passing and the burial of the passing and the burial of Moshe. And the Gemara says, Amar Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. That's number 12. But look at number 11 on the side. What's the Memches? Maharatz Chiyus. This is a comment from Reb Tzvi Hersh Chiyus, who was he passed away in about 1850. And he was a great scholar. He went to college in the Austrian Empire. He was unique, very well read Bechlal, and an extreme Talmud Chacham. He learned professor style. He liked the history. Often he gets into the interesting discussions, manuscripts, this and that.
Ideas.
Right. Yeah, that's why some of the real, in Galicia, the many strong Chassidim felt he was a little close to the Maskilin. He might have been. Nebuch, he was 50 or something. He was reaching the prime of his life and he passed away. But in his comments, the Gemara says, in number 11, Bar Chanina, why was Moshe buried Eitzel Beis Pa'er? Moshe was buried, at least initially, in the land of Moav, next to the site where the Yidden had sinned with the daughters of Moav and Midian, and in the Avodah Zarah, etc. Nichtav b'tzidai, on the side of Reb Tzvi Hersh's Gemara, it said the following. Look in Ein Yankiv. Ein Yankiv was a compilation made about 600 years ago of all the stories of Gemara. Yesh oid maimer. There's another statement from Rabbi Chama bar Chanina. Koidim lozeh ha-maimer. Before the one that we have. It was removed. B'nesinas hat. The Ein Yankiv has something which is no longer extant in our Gemara.
Oh, he had it. I got it.
Yeah. The Ein Yankiv has something which the Gemara doesn't have. And that statement speaks b'nesinas hatam about the reason shenistam kvuras Moshe ben, that why Moshe's kvur is hidden. And the reason is because Galui Lefanov, the Eibishter knows, shebeis hamikdash asid licharav, that the Beis Hamikdash was going to be destroyed. Maybe people would come to Moshe's burial place to daven to him. And therefore, Moshe's place was hidden. And then he says, V'loya, I don't know, Madua Nishme B'Talmud, I don't know why it was removed. Number 12, the Bach has the whole thing that was taken out. It's a whopping of a read. Look at number 12. On the third line, number 12. The bold. This is the text that was removed from all Gemaras today. It's removed, but on the side, now they have the Bach who quotes it. Mipnei ma nistata, why Taka was Moshe's cave hidden me'enei basa? Why can no one find it? Because Goliv Yadu in front of Hashem. Asked Beis HaMikdash to be destroyed. And the Eibusha was lahaglois to exile Yisrael me'artzam from their land. Why? So why did Hashem hide Moshe? Shema Yavoyu, they will come to Moshe's Kvura, boys at that time, and they would cry, and they would be mischanan to Moshe and say, Moshe Rabbeinu, get up, Amoid B'Tfilah, get up on our behalf. And Moshe would get up and mavato the Gzeira. Because tzaddikim are precious to Hashem b'misasam in the death more than while they're alive. Because you find B'Shah Yisrael were in the desert and they soured b'maseim and they made the egel. Kotzef HaKadosh Baruch Hu was angry on Yisrael and he told Moshe, leave go from me and let me destroy them. Many tzaddikim were alive at the time of the egel. Many chsidim, Moshe, Aaron, Yeshua, Eldon, 70s Canaan, v'shar chacham talmidim. There were plenty of big guns there. V'lo yaseh b'shvilam, but Hashem, they all davened. Hashem didn't listen to nobody, only because of Moshe. The Eibishter loves Moshe, so the Yidden would just say Eibishter, and they would run to Moshe. And Moshe davened for us, and then the Eibishter couldn't bring the Churban. What is that piece of Gemara telling you? That Moshe's Kvura cannot be known to man. But what do you mean? If he's in the Meoras Hamachpeila, the Yidden could have just went past there and cried to Moshe. Doesn't this clearly mean that he's somewhere in the land of Moav and no one knows where? The Eibusha Dafka wants no one to know. And now the secret's out of the bag. So there's really 4 questions. We're almost done. So you have this tradition that Moshe and Tzipora are there. They were taken later. Okay, Tzipora may have died in Eretz Yisrael. Moshe died in the land of Moed. He was buried there. Malachim later brought him. One question was, okay, the Medrash Rabbah says, Meoras Hamachpeila, there's only 4 people, 4 couples. So the Chidah said that means people that were buried there right after death. Coming later, we don't count. The Chidah was borrowed the door, but the Zohar says this week that after Yaakov was the last one. When Yaakov's buried is the last one. It's sealed. Then there was a Shaila, the Yalkut Shemoni, the Sifri said, Hashem told Moshe, you're never going even after death. And similar Shaila from Reb Kleinemos, who says that he wasn't taken there. Then you have this Medrash in number 10, which clearly says in the times of the Churban, years and years after, 1,000 years after Moshe passes away.
He wasn't there. It was pretty clear, though.
He got transferred after.
So what are you gonna? And then you have this Bach over
The
here.
transfer answers all of it.
There's more opinions
So-
say that he wasn't there than
But he was transferred.
So here's the thing. Moshe Rabbeinu. Okay, hold on. So the
Number 8 says no transfer. Hashem told Moshe no.
but maybe that means right
Alive
after death.
or
You're not
dead.
going to be buried there.
No, but
they're not dead.
We said before the burial means from
said alive or
above the ground till below, but from below it's
Hashem
transferred.
said you're not
So
going
there's 2 things. There's 2 things. Hold on. There's 2 things. One thing's a whopper. The first thing is pshat.
No, but if you're never
L-
dead,
let- hold on.
You can stay after. We have
So I want to say 2 things. Number 1, maybe your option is right. If the Malachim brought him later, when later? Maybe it was after the Churban.
Therefore.
and therefore.
There's no problem.
So when
with
your
this
Yumi
11,
is looking for
12.
him, is still in the land of
And
Moav.
no problem with the Bach.
The Malachim didn't bring him there.
Much later.
And so
And
to
the
the Bach
Eibishter
also.
had
When the
his
Yidden were
Zera
going into exile,
protected.
they didn't know where Moshe was. He wasn't there yet.
I mean, if we go now and cry about the ghosts, Hashem won't be able to.
Yeah.
Yes.
That's
That's
here
right.
for a reason.
Oh,
For a
do you know
purpose.
that it's brought in many Sfarim says, you know where you're supposed to be Zion Adar? Meoras Hamachpeila. You ever saw that? There's a big minute to go. Moshe's there. So that would answer the last 2 questions. It also could answer the Reb Kleinemos and the Sifri. Moshe, you're not going there after you die. In other words, when you die, you're being buried in the land of Moav. In 1,000 years from now, that's a different story.
All
That's
great
way
except
down.
for number 8.
No, that's with number 8 is
Number 8 's
you.
tough.
I know, but Hashem's saying you won't go there after you. In other words, you won't die and be buried there. But 1,000 years from now to be transferred by
Say
Malachim?
he won't be buried.
Hold on, you're gonna miss a whopper in 1 second. And what about the Zohar? The Zohar says that the cave was sealed. How you answer the Zohar? So there's a thing. There's another Sifri which I didn't have time to get hold of. The Sifri says the underground tunnels. We saw there's an underground tunnel from Hamachpeila to Gan Eden. There's an underground tunnel that goes underneath the Jordan River. There's an underneath the Jordan River. Go dig, you'll see it. I don't know how deep it is, or
So
maybe
it's not really sealed.
It could be, it's a metaphor, but it says that there's a mechila, there's a tunnel
Entrance is sealed.
that goes from the land of Moav, where Moshe was buried, to Meoras Hamachpeila.
But the soul,
Just like Meoras Hamachpeila is considered the entrance of Gan Eden, Moshe's, where he's buried, is considered the entrance to the Meoras Hamachpeila.
Oh, it's not
So-
even in there.
No, it's
Yeah.
down one of
So
the
someone
hallways.
to say he's not there, he's still in the land of Moav.
But it's connected.
It's as if he's there because it's like one big cave. It's like one big cave because of the tunnel.
it's an extension.
It's an extension.
Can you post this?
So,
Sifri?
hold on. No, but you can say even better. No, you can say even better. So I saw someone wants to say, once there was a tunnel underneath, maybe Moshe Taka was taken by the Malach, because the Sefer HaTmuna says Malachim carried him, right? So just saying that there's a tunnel doesn't fit. The Sefer says Malachim, they carried him underground. When the Zohar says the cave was sealed, it means from on top, on the face of the earth. When the Zohar says this week that after Yaakov, the Zohar didn't receive anyone, it meant through the natural entrance on the face of the earth. Underground tunnels, he can come in. So once we have this tunnel business, it could be that Moshe's in the land of Moav, but it's considered one big cave. Or you mamish say like this, the Sefer HaTmuna, Malachim moved him. Now when would they have moved him? You have to say after the Churban. The cave was sealed from on top. No one else can bury there.
That's all very good.
All right.
The expression was good and buried.
I just still have
Sorry
the
for the-
eight
sorry
is
for the
the one is the stick in the mud.